What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Thursday, August 20th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NBA playoffs. Let's take a look at this 4-game main slate. At the point guard position, I like Malcolm Brogdon from the Indiana Pacers playing the Miami Heat, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing point guards, but Malcolm Brogdon has averaged 33 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. He's projected at 35 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.7 times value, but he scored 38 fantasy points last game in 39 minutes, and he's $7,400 FanDuel salary, but he's $500 less on DraftKings. So I love that DraftKings price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 214 points scored in this game, so I like Malcolm Brogdon here versus the Miami Heat. Another point guard I like is Eric Bledsoe from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Orlando Magic, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing point guards, but Eric Bledsoe has averaged 30.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. He scored 29 fantasy points in 27 minutes last game, and he's projected at 30.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's $5,900 FanDuel salary and $600 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 227 points scored in this game, so I like Eric Bledsoe here versus the Orlando Magic. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat playing the Indiana Pacers, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing shooting guards, but Jimmy Butler has averaged 41.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. He scored 52 fantasy points in 36 minutes last game. He's projected at 40 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.9 times value. He's $8,100 FanDuel salary and $200 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 214 points scored in this game, so I like Jimmy Butler here versus the Indiana Pacers. Now this next pick is just kind of a gut feeling. You could call it a little bit of a long shot, but I don't think it is. I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Houston Rockets, who have the 6th worst defense overall, and they give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has averaged 34.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. Now, he only scored 17 fantasy points in 35 minutes last game, so I think this is going to be a big bounce back game for him. You're going to get him at a lower price and lower ownership, and he's projected at 33.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $6,600 FanDuel salary and $300 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225.5 points scored in this game, so I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here versus the Houston Rockets. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like LeBron James from the LA Lakers playing the Portland Trailblazers, who have the 5th worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing small forwards. LeBron James has averaged 51.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. He scored 66 fantasy points in 41 minutes last game, and he's projected at 50.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 10,500 FanDuel salary and 400 more on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 228.5 points scored in this game, so I like LeBron James here versus the Portland Trailblazers. Okay, another small forward that I like here is Carmelo Anthony from the Portland Trailblazers playing the LA Lakers, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing small forwards. Carmelo Anthony has averaged 27.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He scored 35 fantasy points in 37 minutes last game, and he's projected at 28 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.1 times value. He's 5,500 FanDuel salary and 400 more on DraftKings. So I like Carmelo Anthony here versus the LA Lakers. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Anthony Davis from the LA Lakers playing the Portland Trailblazers, who have the 5th worst defense overall, and they give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Anthony Davis has averaged 50.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 29% usage rate. He's projected at 50 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 10,400 FanDuel salary and 100 more on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 228.5 points scored in this game, so a high-scoring game. So I like Anthony Davis here versus the Portland Trailblazers. Okay, another power forward that I like here is Jeff Green from the Houston Rockets playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing power forwards. Now, Jeff Green has only averaged 16.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 20 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate, but he's playing a lot more minutes now. He scored 37 fantasy points in 32 minutes last game. He's projected at 28 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.5 times value. He's only 5,100 FanDuel salary, and he's 300 less on DraftKings. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225.5 points scored in this game, so I like Jeff Green here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Just based on last game's performance and his projection today, if he's going to get 30 plus minutes, this guy looks like a smash play on both sites, and especially on DraftKings where he's under 5K. Okay, moving on to the center position. I like Jusuf Nurkic from the Portland Trailblazers playing the LA Lakers, who have a good defense overall, and they've been good versus opposing centers. Jusuf Nurkic has averaged 43.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. He's projected at 42 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. So that projection may be a little high. It's under his average. Even if he scores 38 fantasy points, you're still getting more than 5 times value because he's only 7,700 FanDuel salary, but he is 1,300 more on DraftKings. So I love that FanDuel price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 228.5 points scored in this game, so I like Jusuf Nurkic here versus the LA Lakers. Another center I like is Steven Adams from the Oklahoma City Thunder playing the Houston Rockets, who have the 6th worst defense overall, and they've been middle of the pack defending opposing centers. Steven Adams has averaged 29.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He's projected at 28.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 5,900 FanDuel salary and 300 less on DraftKings. He scored 33 fantasy points in 27 minutes last game, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 225.5 points scored in this game, so we got a high-scoring game. So I like Steven Adams here versus the Houston Rockets. And just one last pick here at the center position, kind of a dart throw, but he did score 30 fantasy points in 25 minutes last game. It's Hassan Whiteside. You never really know what you're going to get with Hassan Whiteside. He could play 15 minutes, could play 20, 25 minutes, really hard to know. But he is projected at 25 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.6 times value because he's only 4,500 FanDuel salary and 400 more on DraftKings. So I would rather play Jusuf Nurkic, but if you for some reason want to pay down at the center position and take a risk, he is capable of 30 plus fantasy point games. He can put up a lot of fantasy points in a small amount of minutes. So I like Hassan Whiteside here versus the LA Lakers. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to DraftDashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.